welcome everybody. So glad to have all of you here today. I want to say welcome to everybody here in Oklahoma City and in Clovis, New Mexico at Servant's Heart Chapel. We are so glad that you are with us today. All of our different sites, would you join with me in a round of applause just welcoming everybody, your brothers and sisters in Christ from all around the country. So glad that you are here. Thank you so much for being here. Today we are starting a brand new series called Made, God's Glory in Creation. We're focusing in on the greatness of our God and how He displays that glory in all the different parts of the world and the universe that we look around at. I'm so excited to share this truth with you. I think before the day is over, you're going to be blown away by how awesome our God is. And so I'm so excited to share that with you. I want to start off by just pointing out something to you. I don't know if you ever noticed this or not, but everything that you see, everything that you interact with has a maker. Everything from this stand or the chair you're sitting on, everything that you see has a maker. And we just kind of get used to that idea. We get used to associating with something that's made with a maker. That we know that it didn't just happen. Whether it's the tower in downtown Oklahoma City, huge skyscraper, or whether it's the theater or the hotel in downtown Clovis, none of these things just happened. They had makers. They had designers. So as you think about all of the different things that you see, you realize that had a maker, this had a maker. Everything that we see had a maker, and whatever is made tells us something about its maker. Everything that's made tells us something about the person who made it. In the example of the Devon Tower, it tells me that the person who designed it was way smarter than I am. We know it didn't just happen. You didn't just suddenly, it was a glass and metal factory, and there was this huge explosion. All the pieces went up in the air. When it came down, there was this tower standing there. It was amazing. Nobody would believe that. You wouldn't believe it. I don't even believe it. I'm the one who said it. I know it's not true. You know it's not true because everything has a maker. And whatever is made speaks to us about its maker. Even something as simple as the clothes you're wearing. You look down at it, whether it's a pair of jeans or whether it's a designer shirt. We call them designer clothes because they tell us something about their designer. They tell us something about that person's values and what they like and what they don't like and colors and things like that. Your kids have a maker. If you got children, you go around to your house and you look around, and my kids have a maker. They do. I was there when it happened, and I know about my kids. They have a maker. And your children speak to you about their maker. They do. You think about it. They look like you. They talk like you, they copy you, they develop the same habits of speech that you have. They talk to you about their maker. The universe is just like that. The universe that we live in is just like that. The truth is that David said in Psalm 19:1, he told us this. He said, "The heavens declare the glory of God, and the skies are showing the work of His hands." Day after day, they pour out speech, and night after night, they speak knowledge. And there is no speech or language where their voice is not heard. No matter where you go or where you live, there is a universe out there that is declaring that your God is great and glorious. It's always speaking to us about our Maker. So the universe is sitting here saying to you and to me, this is what you can learn about God from looking at me. Everything you see. Now, I'm not going to try to prove that God made everything. I'm just going to show you what He made, and I'm going to let it speak to you about who He is. Genesis chapter 1, verse 1. The very first verse in our English Bible says this: "In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth." Now some people say, well, it was the Big Bang. Oh yes, I believe that when God created the heavens and the earth, there was a very big bang. There was a lot going on that day. When God made the heavens and the earth, it was kapow! No doubt about it. Big bang. In Genesis chapter 1, verse 3, we read these words, "And God said, let there be light, and there was light." Well, of course there was. When God says, I want light, He gets light, and He spoke it into existence. thousands of years ago, and today, even today, scientists are still trying to figure out what it is. Scientists are always arguing about different things. One of the things they talk about when they talk about the universe is they say, is the universe really too big? Is it too big for us? Like, if it's just a home for us, it seems kind of big and we seem kind of small. It's a little oversized for us. And you know what? I agree with that. If the only purpose of the universe is to be a home for life, I agree. It's way too big. It's way too big. By the time we're done today, I think you'll probably agree it's way too big if that's all it's for, is to provide a home for you and a place for your kids to play. But let me just think a little differently about that today. What if the goal of the universe is not to provide a home for you? But what if the goal of the universe and its purpose is to create a place where you can see on display the glory and the beauty of God? What if that's what the universe is supposed to be doing? What if that's its purpose? Then in that case, I would say to you, the universe is just about the right size to display the greatness and glory of our God. So at the very beginning, God says, let there be light, and light comes flying out of the mouth of God, screaming out of the mouth of God at 186,000 miles per second. Not per hour, per second. In case you weren't paying attention in school, that's moving. That is moving. That is faster than your teenager driving through a school zone. That is ridiculously fast. And so here's what happens. Every second, light can circle the earth 7 times. Think about it. 7, 14, 21, 24, 35, 28. Yeah, I'm doing my multiplication wrong. In the time that I said that, light went around the earth 35 times. 5 seconds. That is moving. And so God spoke and the universe lit up. And the Bible says this, by the word of the Lord the heavens were made, and all the starry host by the breath of his mouth. So I'm going to show you today where we live, all right? We live in a little subdivision in the universe called the Milky Way galaxy. Here's a view of it from one of our Earth telescopes. You're looking out into the universe. Here's a view of it from our Earth telescopes. Beautiful, beautiful, gorgeous. All those stars. If you ever looked out and you can see kind of a milky band on a really dark night, kind of a milky colored band across the night sky, that's the Milky Way. But if you look at it with a really good camera and a telescope, that's what you see right there. Now, when we start talking about the Milky Way galaxy, we have to change the way we talk. We can't use just miles anymore because the universe is just too big and too vast to use measurement the way we use it here in our planet. A foot will not help you. The yard is not going to help you in God's universe. The mile, not even close. It's just too big to measure in those terms. And so we actually have to start using something called light years. You know what that is? If you weren't paying attention to high school physics, a light year is the distance that light travels in a year. Remember, it goes 186,000 miles per second. And so in a year, light travels right in the area of 5.88 trillion miles. 5.88 trillion miles. So when we start talking about the Milky Way galaxy, you're going to need to remember that because we're going to start using it pretty soon. Here's another view of the Milky Way galaxy. Just beautiful. Let me think about this with you. How many stars are in that galaxy? As you look at that, just that piece of it that we can see from Earth, how many stars do you think are there? Scientists tell us if we started counting stars in the Milky Way galaxy, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and you're saying, please don't count them all. Okay, all right, I'm not going to count them all because that would get really boring really fast. But if you did that, 1 star per second, 24 hours a day, it would take you 2,500 years to count all of the stars in the Milky Way galaxy. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for 2,500 years, 1 star per second. Now, see, that's a lot of stars, but let me share with you what Isaiah said. Isaiah chapter 40, God says this. He says, "To whom will you compare me? Who is my equal, says the Holy One? Lift up your eyes, look to the heavens. Who created all these? He who brings out the starry host one by one and calls them each by name. Wow. Because of his great power and mighty strength, not one of them is missing. If I could do anything for you today in this message, if I could do anything for you, I would like to reach into your heart and your mind and resize God. Because he is not small. He is not your size. He is not shrunk down and unable. He is big and awesome and glorious. The kind of God where you'd have to count stars for 2,500 years, day and night, to get all the stars just in our single galaxy counted. And God knows every one of them by name. Wow. He's an artist working on a bigger canvas than you can possibly imagine, thinking thoughts that are bigger than you can imagine. He's really, really big, and you and I are really, really, really small. Now, we've never been outside our galaxy, but if we did manage to get out there, this is what scientists tell us that it would look like, okay? This is what they say it would look like. If we were to ever get out that far, this is what the Milky Way galaxy looks like. It's a spiral, a barred spiral galaxy. Right in the center of it, there is a supermassive black hole with a mass 400 million times the sun. Just an incredibly super massive black hole right at the center of the galaxy. You say, well, Darrell, as I look at that galaxy, I don't see me on there. I don't see, where am I? No, you're right. You don't see yourself. In fact, the truth is that you could not put a dot small enough. The pen does not exist to put a dot small enough on this diagram to represent not only our planet, but the sun and all of its planets. Our entire solar system, you can't make a dot small enough to represent that on that diagram. In fact, it is 100,000 light years across. Remember light years? Okay, if you were to go 186,000 miles per second, you would travel 5.88 trillion miles in 1 year. And all you would have to do, if you lived on this side of the galaxy and you had a friend that lived on that side of the galaxy and you wanted to go to their house, all you got to do is get in your car or your spaceship. All you got to do is drive 186,000 miles per second, 5.88 trillion miles a year for 100,000 years, and bam, just like that, you're at their house. What a great thing, right? Wow, you talk about size, you talk about distance. That's amazing. Milky Way, say, I don't know where we live. Where do we live at? Maybe surely we live in the center, right? We got to live in the center of this galaxy. No, we don't live in the center. You don't want to live in the center. There's a black hole there, and you don't even want to live in one of the arms as it goes around, because those are full of radiation and X-rays and gamma rays and all sorts of stuff, dust clouds and asteroids and comets and all sorts of things full throughout those arms. We actually live in the dead space between two of the arms, just about right there. That's where we are. You say, well, I still don't see me. You know, that's true. That's true. In fact, scientists say if our solar system, our sun and all of our planets, Mercury and Earth and Mars and Jupiter, all of that, all the way out to Pluto, if those planets were shrunk down to where they were the size of a quarter, if it was shrunk down to where it was the size of a quarter and you took that quarter and laid it on the ground, our Milky Way galaxy would be the size of the North American continent, including Canada and Alaska. Wow. That is huge. Let me show you something on this. All of the planets we've discovered, all of the planets, because planets don't give out their own light, and so they're a little harder to find. All of the planets we have ever discovered would fit inside that circle. Right there. Every single planet, you hear them say, we found a new planet, it's a lot like Earth, and it might be life on this planet. Every single one of the planets that you hear them talk about, it's inside that circle. Right there. We really haven't gone very far. We're really not all that big. But right in the middle of that circle is a little blue dot that we call home, planet Earth. You say, Darrell, as I look at that, as I'm thinking about it, from here, I can't really see the war, the poverty. I can't really see, the greed and the money and the jobs. I don't see my backyard. Yeah, that's true. You don't see the drama in your family. Some of you, you're like, I thought sure the drama in my family was visible from outer space. It's really not. It's really not. You can't see it from here. However, I kind of feel like Neil Armstrong, the guy who was the first man on the moon. He wrote this. He said, it suddenly struck me that tiny pea, pretty and blue, was the Earth. I put my thumb up and closed one eye and blotted out planet Earth. But he said, I didn't feel like a giant. Instead, I felt very, very small. It makes me wonder if maybe the fall, when Adam and Eve sinned, and they substituted themselves for God and kind of they wanted to be the center of their own little universe and not just do what God said. Maybe the fall tricked us somehow and made us feel like it was all about us. Made us feel like we were kind of the center of our own universe, and our will and our problems and our needs and our desires and our wants are all that mattered. When the truth is, we are really the smallest of specks on a canvas of a great artist, the God who is awesome in power and wonder. When the Voyager probes blasted off into outer space, I'm gonna mute my phone. That's my phone. So I'm gonna just right here. I'll just cut this. It's mine. Forgot to mute it. When the Voyager probes were blasted out into space to go and take pictures on the way out of our galaxy, they were equipped with little 23-watt radio transmitters to beam their signals back to Earth. They're traveling 40,000 miles an hour out of our solar system, taking pictures on the way out. And they've actually passed out of our solar system now, but before they actually went out beyond the orbits of Pluto and the last planets out there, the scientists instructed Voyager to turn around and take a series of pictures back toward Earth, back toward our home. And so the probe turns around and takes a series of like 40 or 60 pictures, takes a whole bunch of them, and starts beaming them back to Earth. You want to see a picture of yourself, of your planet, from 3.7 billion miles away? Check this out. It blew the minds of astronomers when it came back. Are you ready? Here we go. Yeah. Some of you are like, what? I don't see us. That looks like, those are the kind I delete off of my smartphone, you know? That's the kind, it looks like somebody took a picture in their pocket. I don't even know what that is. I don't see me on there at all. What are those streaks on it? Well, the streaks are actually the reflections of sunlight off the Voyager probe. The sun is still in view from 3.7 billion miles away, and the light is reflecting and kind of created those colored streaks. But right in the middle of one of those colored streaks, right up in the upper left-hand corner of your picture, let me zoom it in a little bit for those of you who may not be able to see well. There you go. That's you. That's me. And that's every person who has ever lived, ever fought, ever loved, ever made money, ever been a big person. All of it's right there. On what one scientist called, when he saw this picture, he called it the pale blue dot, a speck of cosmic dust suspended in a sunbeam. It's us. You say, Darrell, you're making me feel small. No. My goal is not to make you feel small. My goal is to help you see that you are small. You are small. We are. We're not that great. We're not that big. We're not that wise. We need Him. We need God. He's big, but we're not. We just happen to live in His universe. But what you need to understand is this, that your smallness is a significant smallness. Because the God who made all this loves you, cares about you. He deeply values you. He sees you. And that's why we worship, is because God's love is so different and so amazing. Anything that big, anyone who can create something that big and that amazing, why would He seemingly waste His love on that little speck, on the people who live there? That's why we worship, because He's that good and He's that big. And ready, we're going to take a trip out, and we're going to see how big this place He has created really is. Okay, we're going to go way out. You ready? We're going to go way out on a journey. We're going to start right here in our own solar system with what we call our sun. Right here in our 93 million miles away from Earth, right in the center of our solar system, is this sun. It is not a little yellow thing up in the corner of a kid's picture with a smiley face on it. Not at all. It is a flaming, hot, incredible ball of gas running off nuclear fusion, 10,000 degrees on the surface. And this is actual HD video of the sun from NASA. That you're seeing, that blast that you're seeing right there is a coronal mass ejection. It is a huge explosion of superheated gas and plasma out into space. It is raging fire. It would take the gross national product of the United States of America, the most powerful and rich nation on the earth. It would take our gross national product for 7 million years to run the sun for 1 second. It's big. Check this out. They blotted out the sun so you can see the explosion better. Look at that. That's amazing. You want to see what it looks like for us to be right next to the sun? You want to see a picture comparing us to the sun? Take a look at this. Yeah, that's us right there. That's us. That little dot right below the word Earth, that's you. That's me. That's all of us. We're all in this thing together. You know, we say the most powerful thing man ever created was the atomic bomb. What does the atomic bomb do? It's awesome to see them. You've seen those mushroom clouds, those huge explosions, video on the internet and whatever. Amazing, incredible power, awesome destruction. But you look at that explosion that God orchestrated compared to what, a few square miles that a nuclear bomb blows up? Wow. That's incredible. That God could create something so powerful. So tonight, when you are going to sleep, you can just thank God that you are 93 million miles away from the sun. Let's go out further, all right? Here we go. We're going to go out through our solar system. We're going to go from 93 million miles to about 1.2 billion miles away. This is the planet Saturn. This is a picture taken by one of our probes going by Saturn, looking at it, and up there on the North Pole of Saturn, there's a gas storm. Amazing, amazing storm. You thought your thunderstorms here in the Midwest or something else with them rolling across the plains and building up into those huge thunderheads. Oh no, you haven't seen a storm. Not really. You could drop the whole Earth inside that storm right there. It's an incredible, incredible thing. You want to know something cool? Saturn is a planet that is less dense than the Earth. It is actually made up mostly of ice and gases. In fact, if you could make a bathtub big enough, Saturn would float in water. But the real reason I show you Saturn is because I wanted to show you this picture right here that was just taken, just came out a few days ago. One of our probes was on its way out past Saturn, and it turned around when it got in the shadow of Saturn and took a picture back toward the Earth. with those rings in the foreground. Beautiful, gorgeous debris rings and ice rings around Saturn. Back toward Earth, you see the little blue dot? That's you. That's me. Amazing. Gorgeous. But you know what? Really, we haven't traveled very far. Remember, if our solar system is the size of a quarter, and North America, or the whole North American continent, Canada and Alaska and the whole 9 yards, that is compared to our solar system. That's the Milky Way. We haven't even gotten halfway across the quarter yet. We are just scratching the surface. So now from here on out, we're going to have to change, and we're going to have to start using light years. Okay, remember the light year, that different size ruler, the yardstick of God's universe, 5.88 trillion miles long. We're going to start using that. So let's go. 440 million light years out. Okay, all you got to do is travel 5.88 trillion miles an hour for 440 million years, and you will arrive at this beautiful, beautiful constellation called the Pleiades. The Pleiades is an amazing, amazing thing. The reason I share it with you is because it's mentioned several times in the Bible, actually in the book of Job and in the prophets. In the book of Job, Job is having a terrible, terrible time. Remember, he's just going through real difficult trials. His kids were all killed in a tragic storm. His wife has left him. All his wealth has been taken away, and he's very, very sick. And he's arguing, kind of fighting with God, like, why are you doing this to me? What is going on in my life? I don't understand. And God stops Job toward the end of that book, and he says, let me ask you some questions, Job. You've been asking me a lot of questions. I'm going to ask you some questions. And one of the questions he asks is in Job 38:31. He says, can you bind the beautiful Pleiades? Can you loose the cords of Orion? It's interesting that God would choose those two constellations when he talks about them. Interesting that he would do that because most of our constellations are not really constellations. They just look like they're together from our perspective. They just look like they are, but really they're many, many, many light years apart, and they're moving opposite directions. They're not star clusters. They just happen to be together in our sky. But there are some constellations that are true star clusters, and two of those are the Pleiades and Orion. And God knew exactly what he was doing. He gets it right. Gets it right. Good thing to remember. Can you pull that together? Can you untie what holds those stars together so they drift off into space? No. Now, most of the rest of what we're going to see, as we continue our journey out into the universe, most of the rest of what we're going to see is a courtesy of this little gadget right here, the Hubble Space Telescope. Hubble Space Telescope is just a tremendous piece of equipment. Actually, it orbits. It's an orbiting telescope that orbits the world, orbits the Earth at 353 miles above the Earth's surface, so that it gets out of our atmosphere, above our dust, above our radiation, above our particles and gases and the air in our atmosphere, and above our pollution. It gets out there, and it can take much clearer, much deeper pictures. And so a lot of our pictures today are going to be from that. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to go 1,000 light years out, and we're going to show you something called the Vela Pulsar. This is fantastic, fantastic. It's a highly magnetized, shooting out radiation. It's a star that has collapsed in on itself. When a supernova explodes, a portion of the star can collapse down on itself and become incredibly dense and spin really fast. And that's exactly what's happened with pulsars. This one is spinning 14 times per second. Spinning 14 times a second, and every time it spins, it's sending out bursts of radiation and gamma rays out into the universe, exploding with heat and light. It's so dense that if you could somehow fly to the Vela Pulsar and go up next to it and dip up a spoonful of the Vela Pulsar, the spoonful would weigh as much as several automobiles. Incredibly dense, incredibly powerful. Back during the UFO craze, when the scientists were sweeping the skies with these radio telescopes, trying to see if they could locate the alien life, the little green men. We're going to try to find them. They were sweeping the skies, and they heard this regular signal coming back to Earth. This very regular, systematic signal, and they were blown away. They were like, "We found it! We found extraterrestrial life! Oh my goodness, this is amazing!" And so, Here's what happened. They turned a radio telescope and other telescopes, optical telescopes toward it, and they discovered pulsars. It wasn't little green men at all. It was pulsars. You want to hear a pulsar? Here we go. All right. You want to hear what it looks like, hear what it sounds like? If you pointed a radio telescope at the Vela pulsar, here's what you'd hear. There you go. That's where it is, right there in that little circle inside that nebula. It looks like that. And it's just bursting out with energy, bursts of radiation and waves every second, 14 times. Isn't that amazing? Let me let you hear another one. This is the Crab pulsar. It's the youngest known pulsar. It lies at the center of the Crab Nebula. It's rotating extremely fast, 30 plus times a second. Isn't it gorgeous? Sending out this bursts of signals, bursts of radiation and power. Let me let you hear one more. Actually, two more. This next pulsar is a millisecond pulsar. It's got a weird name. It's rotating 174 times every single second. We don't have any pictures of it, but this is what they say it would look like if we could see it. It's pulling dust and gases off of its binary star and exploding them out into the universe. Let me let you hear one more, all right? Because this next one is the second fastest pulsar known. It is rotating 642 times every single second, exploding radiation out into the universe. I want to tell you that our God is awesome, and up there is a whole universe that is just shouting out. What's it up there saying, Darrell? I don't know, but I think it's saying he's big, he's big, he's really, really big. You have no idea how great this God is that we're serving and that we worship. He is awesome. He sits on the throne of this universe, and he is ruling, and he is in charge. He's really big. Let me show you some more stuff. You travel out, let's see, 30 million light years. You come to this, the Sombrero Galaxy. 50 million light years across, trillions of miles thick. It looks kind of thin and pretty from here. Trillions of miles thick. It's just tipped about 6 degrees toward us so that we can see it. Isn't that beautiful? Wow. Look what God has made. What's it doing up there, Darrell? Oh, it's just glorifying God. Just glorifying God, just pointing to Him. The heavens are declaring the glory of God. Worshiping Him, spreading its light into His universe. What about this? Your mom ever tell you, God is watching you? Yes, He is. There you go. Some people call this the Eye of God Nebula. It's not really the Eye of God, but He's definitely watching. He does care. And He's made beautiful, beautiful things that we're just now discovering after thousands of years of human history. It's almost like God is saying, okay, is that all you got? Build a bigger telescope. Build a bigger one, because as soon as you do, I got more stuff up here that is going to blow your mind. God's amazing. I want you to look at this. The darling of astronomy, they call this. Just beautiful. Tipped sideways, the spiral galaxy turned almost exactly sideways to us. That's a whole nother galaxy up there in the corner, a whole separate one. Looks like it's part of it or running into it, but actually they're millions of light years apart, and they're going to pass right by each other. They say they're going to pass right by each other without even touching. Incredible, incredible things that God has made. What about this, a supernova? You seen any supernova pictures? Check this out. What's left over after a star explodes and blows out the remainder of what it's made of out of into the universe. Beautiful. What about this exploding star? The Hourglass Nebula. I don't even know, what would you have to do? What were the forces like that made that thing blow up into that gorgeous hourglass shape, shooting those rings of fire and radiation out into the outer reaches of space? I don't know. But God made some beautiful, beautiful things. Amazing, amazing things. Check this one out. This one's called Hoag's Object. Hoag's Object. The reason that it's called an object is because at first they didn't know what it was. They saw it, but they couldn't figure out what it was. Now they finally figured out it's what they call a circle galaxy now. It's a galaxy. It's a collection of stars, but they don't really know why it's gathered like that. In the middle, there's a collection of cooler yellow stars, older stars, and out on the outer rim out there, collection of white-hot blue stars, younger stars. What's holding it together like that? We don't know. We don't know. But it's amazing. They don't even know why it's shaped that way. What's it doing up there, Darrell? Just glorifying God. Just reminding us that scientists don't have all the answers. Just reminding us that there's someone bigger and better and wiser than you or me looking out into this universe, looking out for this universe, looking out for you. Check this one out. I'm going to show you another one. This is the Caterpillar Nebula. This actually just came out just recently. Beautiful picture. One of my favorites. It's a star being born. There is, in the head of that caterpillar, there is gases being gathered together by a star inside there. Gravitational forces are pulling in gases and sediment and dust from space and collapsing them into form of a star. But what you can't see in this picture is that off to the side, off to the right there, is a bigger, more powerful star, and the solar wind and radiation and heat from that star is pushing the gases off into space, creating that beautiful blue trail out into space. Amazing. Beautiful stuff. Next is a couple of things. These are actually closer to our own galaxy. The Magellanic Cloud galaxies, there's two of them, contain some of the most mysterious and beautiful pictures I've ever seen, like these right here. This is a star nursery. It's a star nursery. In those little fingers of clouds and dust and gases, in those places, stars are being born. It's collapsing in on them, and new stars are lighting up, and nuclear fusion is happening, and all of a sudden, incredible light and heat bursts out of a star, a brand new star, being formed inside those huge balls of gas. Here's another view of the same thing. Scientists tell us that a new star is being born every second. In our universe, new stars. You know what the scripture says? Remember, it says he calls them all by name. Did you know that God knows the name of every star that was born this morning while you were getting ready to come here? From the time your feet touched the floor and all those ones that you slept through last night, you didn't realize, did you, that there were thousands of stars born last night? But God knew, because he made every single one. I got to show you a couple more star nursery pictures. Check this out. Isn't that beautiful? Stars being born inside that. Here's another one from the Sagittarius constellation near the core of our galaxy. See those three places there, the brighter places? Those are star nurseries, new stars being born. Now, I got to show you that the next one I'm going to show you blew my mind probably as much as any star picture that we're going to see today. This one just absolutely was amazing. This is the deepest picture ever taken in our galaxy. It is the deepest picture ever recorded in our galaxy. Hubble Space Telescope aimed itself out toward outer space, toward the edge of the very universe that we live in, all the way out as far as we can see. This is the deepest picture ever taken, the Hubble Ultra Deep Field. Ready? Take a look at that. Wow. Those aren't stars in that picture. Did you know that? Right there in the middle, there's a close galaxy. But look at all those others. Those are not stars. Let me give you another view of it. Those are the Magellanic Cloud galaxies. But look out beyond. Look out beyond that. Those are galaxies. You see on the right there that beautiful barred spiral? You see down low the spiral arms of several of them, and you see up to the left of the top, the one that's tipped sideways to us, that beautiful disc there. God has made some incredible things. In this photograph, there are 10,000 galaxies. Each one of those galaxies contains billions of stars. Scientists say that if we were to take the galaxies, if somehow we could collect the galaxies of the world and we could give them away to the people on this planet, that if we gave a galaxy, several galaxies, to every man, woman, and child on this planet, 8 billion people approximately on planet Earth, if we gave a galaxy to every single one of you here today, several galaxies, and all of you in Clovis, and to every other person on the face of the earth, there would be plenty of galaxies to do that and have lots of galaxies left over. It's amazing. To give you an idea, just an idea of how narrow of a slice of our universe this is. This is a very, very tiny, tiny slice of our universe. To give you an idea, to get an angle this narrow, you would have to, on Earth, you'd have to look through an 8-foot drinking straw. An 8-foot long straw to get an angle that narrow. And God puts 10,000 galaxies in that. You think about if you swung that view all the way around, and all around you, as far as you can see, we can't even see the edge of the universe, and God says, yeah, I've got galaxies you haven't even found yet. I've got millions and billions of galaxies you've never even seen, you ever heard of. You don't even know they exist. What are they doing? Just up there glorifying God? Just up there showing us that we're really small, but He's really, really, really big. Now, I got one more picture. Okay, we're going to go way, way out on this one. We're going one more picture, and we are going to go way to the edge. There are not any words. There are not words to describe to you what you're about to see. People have tried, but there are no words to describe this. So I'm just going to, I can't even prepare you for it. I'm just going to show you, okay? Here it is. You see, everything that we've just seen, He made it. He created it. He formed it. He spoke it into existence. You see, in John chapter 1, verse 3, we read this. By Him, that is by Jesus, all things have been made. And without Him, nothing was made that has been made. This man, the Son of God, was there, and He said, let there be light, and there was light. He opened His mouth, and light came flying out at 186,000 miles per second. He thought of the sun and explosions that would obliterate our earth. He created them. He spoke, and they happened. And then, after He made all this, He created some people on the earth to image Him in His image, created in His image and His likeness, created to glorify and honor Him. But our first parents, Adam and Eve, turned their back upon this God, this great God, this awesome God. And they said, we would rather eat the fruit, disobey God, because we want to be like Him. We want to kind of take a hold of the steering wheel of our lives and make our own choices and decide where we want to go. I want to be in charge. I want to kind of substitute myself and become my own little God, deciding what good and evil is. And this man, this God that we serve, said, what can I do to redeem back to me all of those who have fallen away, who have drifted away from me? What can I do? And the Son said, I'll go, Father. I will remain what I am, and I will wrap myself in human form. I will become one of them forever. And I will go down to their pitiful little blue dot of a planet, their tiny little speck hung in space in an average galaxy in the dead zone between two of the arms. I'll go and I'll stretch out my arms, and I will take upon myself the consequences of the sin of every single woman and every single man and every single child that has ever lived. I'll take the consequences on myself. You say, how is it possible that all of this stuff could exist? That's the answer. How is it possible that God could forgive sin and still be righteously holy and angry at sin and injustice? That's the answer right there. How is it possible? How is it possible that all of this, how is it possible that He could change me and make me a different person? How is it possible? Jesus is the answer to that. And you think you can run your own life? And you think that you've got it figured out? And you think you're wise enough to somehow decide, I'm going to take a hold of the steering wheel of my life and I'm going to choose? Oh, my friends, let me tell you, don't trust in yourself. Trust in Jesus. Lift your eyes off of your issues and your sin and your problems and your family and your hills you have to climb and your trials and your temptations, and fix your eyes on Jesus, because He's bigger and greater and more awesome and more powerful than you can possibly begin to imagine. And He loves you so much that He would do this for you. Because He, as the scripture says, He made Him, God made Him who knew no sin to become sin for us, that we might become the righteousness of God in Him. All of this that Jesus did on this cross was for you and for me. And He loves you that much. Won't you take your hands off the steering wheel of your life? Won't you yield your heart to Him? Won't you turn over that problem you've been carrying? He's big enough to take care of it. He can hold you. He can sustain you. He can give you grace. He can do that because He's big enough and He loves you very, very much. Let's bow our heads together for prayer.